Hello again, John Flynn here from Flynn Real Estate, here once again to give you my honest and professional opinion on the 2022 Canadian housing market, soon to be 2023 Canadian housing market. So this week, I'm going to get into some seller demographic statistics. Pretty interesting stuff, actually. But first of all, I'm going to start off with some news. So let's get right into this. From December 25th on Christmas Day, this came out actually. Looks like the Grinch that stole Christmas here. As recessions fear grow for 2023, Trudeau warns it's going to be a tough year. Wow, that is the Grinch that stole Christmas. Who would have known? Here's a pretty interesting article that came from Better Dwelling recently. Canada is in recession and overvalued real estate will be hard hit. Oxford Economist. The article is from December 19th. Let's summarize it and see what it says. Canada's overstimulated economy is experiencing withdrawal from an end of low rates. Oxford Economics warned investors the country is already in recession. It's expected to spend most of 2023 in recession and will be hit harder than its G7 peers. Highly indebted households and overpriced real estate shouldn't expect much relief either. Elevated inflation will limit stimulus and prevent cuts to interest rates in 2023. So we're hearing a lot of this theme. These interest rates aren't going to go anywhere in 2023. They might stop raising them, but they're going to stick around. High inflation and aggressive monetary tightening required to cool it are the causes. Lower household spending and a real estate slump provide additional pressure lower. More leverage means amplified gains in a bull market and amplified losses in a downturn. Little to gain, little to lose, or lots to gain, lots to lose, right? Canada's overvalued housing and highly indebted borrowers will see the biggest hit. Stilo's firm has previously called a 30% drop in home prices from peak to trough. He warns prices will continue to fall through mid-2023. We expect the Bank of Canada to keep policy rate at 4.5% through 2023 as it assesses the economy and inflation, says Stilo, adding, the Bank of Canada is unlikely to begin lowering the policy rate to a neutral setting until 2024, once it's convinced that inflation is on a sustainable path back to the 2% target. So again, another reoccurring thing, we keep hearing 2024 before inflation comes back to normal and interest rates are kind of more in the neutral range, which doesn't mean 0.25% at the Bank of Canada like it has done for the last while. Stilo isn't alone in his call. BMO recently reiterated their recession expectations, also seeing no interest rate cut. Inflation is just too high to expect a cut, and they see the central bank erring on the side of too tight until then. Cutting too early risks reigniting inflation, causing a 70s, 80s style inflation spiral. No central bank wants that. And of course, the November inflation numbers were higher than expected, so it's sticking around this inflation. So next, I want to talk about the foreign buyer ban that comes into effect January 1st. It was first released in the 2022 budget. I think it was in April from the federal government. So let's just get caught up on the latest details on this from a recent Globe and Mail article. From December 21st, Ottawa offers details on new federal ban on foreigners buying homes in Canada. Ottawa has unveiled details on how the 2-year ban on foreign buyers' homes in Canada will work, but real estate experts do not expect the new law to help Canadians access more housing. Of course they don't, because it's more smoke and mirrors, just like many of the other things they try to tackle. But anyway, let's see what they have to say. The rules were unveiled with less than 2 weeks before the ban is set to go into effect January 1st. They include a narrow set of exemptions for foreigners to buy real estate, such as recreational properties and housing with a minimum of 4 units. So yeah, we were getting emails from our local board saying like, we don't know what's happening. We just know it comes into effect January 1st, and we don't know the details or the laws or whatever. So it's kind of like last minute. The federal government really hasn't prepared for this. And there's still many details that have to be unveiled. But anyway, let's see what else they have to say. It is unclear that foreign buyers are still a major source of demand in the market. According to the BC government, the number of foreign purchases in the province dropped to 1.1% of all residential sales in 2021, from 3% in 2017. The Ontario government also cited a downward trend. So foreign buyers aren't a big problem. So why do we have a foreign buyer ban? Meanwhile, data from the Bank of Canada show that domestic investors who face no government restrictions have become an increasing force in the market, accounting for 1/5 of home purchases by mid-2021. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I say that, yes, investors are the problem. It's domestic investors. They've leveraged their homes, their existing homes to buy new homes. And we are where we are now. The ban will have minimal impact on the ground, especially when much bigger factors like interest rates and market psychology are dictating real estate activity and prices right now, said Robert Kavchik, senior economist with the Bank of Montreal. Foreign buying was a bigger issue back in 2016, 2017, but the latest run in real estate was fueled by domestic investors, he said. This foreign buyer ban will do nothing, and if it was to do something, it's too little too late anyway. But as you can see, it's not an issue. We have very low foreign buyer purchasing right now in this country, and so this is too little too late. They're just trying to do political theater to make it look like they're doing something, just like with the gun violence. They're, take away legal, law-abiding people's guns who don't shoot anybody. So just a big waste of time, and it seems to be a theme right now with our current government in this country. But anyway, that's as far as we're going to go on that. You obviously can tell how I feel. Let's get into some statistics now. So we've had a little debate on here in the comments. It's about Hamilton. There's been a few areas, but Hamilton's been a reoccurring one. So I have to address this. I'm not going to call you out too bad here, but from Brain Train Station, we've been going back and forth, and some other people in the comments, and they've asked before. So let's read this comment from them. If Hamilton homes have declined, please show me. I've asked you before. As the saying goes, show me the money, or in this case, show me the declined homes. Where are they? Because if prices have declined, because my wife and I have been looking for over 2 years. I check almost every day, 7 days a week. Okay, so you said you're looking for 2 years. So if you compare prices now to 2 years ago, obviously they haven't declined, but we're talking about declining from the peak. So here is the Hamilton data. This is for the greater Hamilton area. You can see the average price for all residential properties hit just over $1 million in February this year. We're now down 27.5%, down to $739,000 as of December. This was probably December 24th or something when I did this. That's $281,000. So Hamilton as a whole has declined more than any other place almost in Ontario or Canada, 27.5%. They're readily approaching 30%. So they've had big declines there. You may not see it unless you've, where you were looking in February. I expect them to go back to at least, early 2020 levels, if not more. But yeah, sorry you haven't seen them, but let's look at one other chart here. Here is the cumulative days on market. So the total days that a house stays on the market, even if it's been canceled or relisted. We are pre-pandemic levels when it comes to days on market. So it's taking a lot longer for homes to sell. So I think if there's a specific style of home that you want to know, did this specific house, townhouse or something decline? Yes, they've all declined. You may not have realized it because even in February, they were still listing at, say, 800,000-900,000, and they were getting over $1 million. I remember, actually, I had a client, and if my client's watching, you know who you are. We had an offer in on one in Hamilton Mountain or Stony Creek Mountain, just on the border there. The house was listed, I think it was around 800 or something, and it went for like 1.45 million. It was like the highest price over asking percentage wise in like the whole time, right? It was like 80 or 90% over asking price. So again, the list prices may not have changed when you're looking on MLS that much, but the sale prices have definitely changed. So yeah, hang in there. They're still declining. I'm sure sooner or later, I think, if you look towards 2024, just like these articles we read today mentioned, when interest rates finally start coming back to neutral, I think you're going to see some better deals then, but I wouldn't be in a rush to buy right now. So I just want to give a shout out to Justin Desek or Desek. Sorry if I got your name wrong there. Well, it's one or the other, I think. He called me up during the week, gave me a little help with some technical issues on the system when I'm searching certain estate sales and bank sales and whatnot, a little shortcut to get them easier. And yeah, if you want him to set you up, he's in the London area. He can set you up with any bank sales or estate sales and auto emails, so you get all those directly. Actually, I can do the same now. So thanks, Justin. And yeah, seems like a really good guy there. Anyway, let's see what the statistics have to say this week. So what I wanted to figure out was who's selling the homes. Like, where do these listings come from? And, people, I've had conversations, and I have a theory, and not even a theory. I have recommendations to give to people when I say, like, this is the best kind of home to buy, or that's the best kind of home to buy. And, historically, I've said, an estate sale or like an old person's home that have moved into a home or unfortunately died, they are one of the best homes because they're well maintained. They look dated, but they are usually well maintained, and they're in nice mature neighborhoods. I like mature neighborhoods with trees. So of course, That is one of the demographics that are selling homes. But where else do listings come from, right? So generally speaking, listings come from families that are moving, divorces, separations, marriages. It could be older people going to retirement homes. So those kind of things, right? Estate sales, that's another one, people dying. Investors, as we know, 1 in 5 properties up prior to 2021, it was in that article, 1 in 5 were purchased by investors. So investors are a big source of listings now. Builders are a huge source, obviously, of listings. And of course, bank sales. Of course, bank sales come and go. There's not a ton right now. They are starting to increase, as I pointed out in my last video, but they will, obviously take more of a dominant space in the listings coming in the coming months. So, of course, I wanted to analyze the data to see what I could find. And of course, using some of the hacks there, not the hacks, the shortcuts from Justin, he helped me out. What percentage of the market is dominated by certain types of homes? Of course, I can't just search, the criteria I just mentioned, but I started with tenants. So in the Niagara region, I just did this a few days ago. There's 806 active listings. These are all residential listings. Tenants made up 8%, or 1 in 11 homes, or 11.5 homes was tenant occupied. So kind of just gives you like a feeling of, okay, those are obviously investors that own these homes. What else can we find? 1 in 14.5 homes is an estate sale or of a power of attorney. A power of attorney is usually once someone's too old to take care of their own financial assets, the kids or someone helps do that. Now, of course, this would be an underestimate because a lot of them don't actually say power of attorney or don't say estate sale. Sometimes people die and they already have the home in the next of kin's name, which is actually a smart thing to do. Talk to your lawyer about that. Again, trying to target down on investors. This is not all investors because not all investors buy homes in corporations' names, but in corporate names, so Incs, Limited, and Corps, there are almost 12% of the active listings in my area or in my region. 1 in 7.5 homes is from a corporation. Now, there's probably at least an equal number. I'm guessing there's more listings that are actually investors that are in their personal names. Most people do put them in their personal names, the small investors. So there's like a huge, it looks like, 25% of listings at least out there right now are from investors. And lastly, in my region, vacant homes. Vacant home listings on actively listed right now make up 27.1%. 1 in 2.7 homes are vacant. So you talk about, there's not enough homes, not enough inventory. Well, there's 30% almost are empty homes sitting out there. And this is just in the region. That's like 670 homes out of 1,806. So now I want to look at the rest of Ontario, or the area that I have access to see how do these numbers roughly look for that. So here's the map showing the areas and all the real estate boards on the side, all the ones in blue. And of course, the one in brown or dark red there is Hamilton, which is included. There are currently 12,516 active listings. 36% of all these listings are currently vacant. 4,500 homes are vacant right now. And this is not including GTA. This is all surrounding GTA. 15%, or just under 2,000 listings, are owned by corporations. So again, we're going to at least double that because of all the private individuals that don't have corporations owning these properties, which again it's on the low end. So 30% of the current listings are investors, and it's probably more than that. So what I would say when people say, where do the listings, or where do you think I'm going to get my house from, or like, where did these listings come from, right? I would say easily 30% at this point in time are coming from investors. You have another 10 to 15% coming from estate sales and power of attorneys, older people moving out. You're going to have a lot of builder stuff coming on MLS too now, because they're going to have to utilize MLS to sell. They can't just do it through their realtor networks without using MLS. And of course, people moving, just regular people moving. That is probably the largest part of listings, and it always has been. So yeah, that's it for this week. Leave your comments and questions below. And until next year, I'll see you then.